We'll discuss paranoid personality disorder, which is one of the cluster A odd and eccentric personality disorders. In order to get a good sense of what that disorder may look like, we're going to first start with the criteria that are part of the Diagnostic Statistical Manual. In order for you to have a diagnosis of paranoid personality disorder, according to the DSM-4, we would be looking for someone where there is a pervasive distrust and suspiciousness of others, such that their motives are interpreted as malevolent. This would begin in early adulthood and present itself in a variety of contexts, as indicated by 4 or more of the following. Number 1, suspects without sufficient basis that others are exploiting, harming, or deceiving him or her. Number 2, is preoccupied with unjustified doubts about the loyalty or trustworthiness of friends or associates. Number 3, is reluctant to confide in others because of unwarranted fears that the information is going to be used maliciously against him or her. Number 4, reads hidden demeaning or threatening meaning into benign remarks or events. Number 5, persistently bears grudges. Number 6, perceives attacks on his or her character or reputation that are not apparent to others and is quick to react angrily or to do a counterattack. Or number 7, has recurrent suspicions without justification regarding fidelity of a spouse or a sexual partner. In addition to showing that pervasive distrust and suspiciousness, we also need to make sure that this is not occurring during the course of schizophrenia or some type of psychotic feature that's part of a mood disorder, possibly. The main reason for needing to keep that in mind is that the paranoia that is part of a paranoid personality disorder is plausible paranoia. It's not likely, but it's plausible. Whereas the paranoia that goes along typically with psychotic features of a disorder or as schizophrenia has a much more unusual characteristic to it. So let me give you an example. Years ago, I worked with a woman who had schizophrenia, who was in belief that the nursing staff at the home that she lived in was putting venereal disease in her cigarettes. Now, it would seem quite unlikely that the nursing staff was putting venereal disease in her cigarettes, but there was nothing that anyone could say or do that would convince her otherwise, because she was convinced that this was occurring. Now, when you think about that, that's a really bizarre level of paranoia. And that would not be the kind of paranoia we're talking about with paranoid personality disorder. With a paranoid personality disorder, we'd be looking more like at a situation where somebody may think that the guy down the hall is trying to make me look bad in meetings because he just really wants my promotion. So he's going to make me look bad so he can get the job that I deserve. Now, there may be cases in life where somebody's actually doing that. But for somebody to have a true paranoid personality disorder, they have to have that level of distrust about a lot of people. That pretty much, you just can't trust that somebody's being nice to you because they really are just trying to get to you for something else. People with paranoid personality disorder view the world as dangerous. They are secreted. They think that if they let out information, people are just going to mistreat them. The rest of us around them think they take everything really personally. We don't understand why they're so bent out of shape. We don't understand why they get obsessed about things. They seem real thin-skinned to us. They have a chip on their shoulder. We feel like they blow things out of proportion. The truth is that, as I indicated for other personality disorders, people tend not to walk into treatment programs with personality disorders. And so this individual is not going to walk into a treatment program and say, I want to come in here because I realize that I just tend to blow things out of proportion. They wouldn't do that. This person would only end up in a counseling office, most likely if somebody else made them come. maybe an employer who felt like they were being paranoid, or maybe a family member who just felt like they were being unrealistic. But this person is probably not going to come to counseling, and even if they did, they would have a hard time trusting a therapist, because the therapist could be just one more person on the long list of individuals that might be trying to hurt them too. People with paranoid personality disorder do not do well when you challenge their beliefs. You do the best sometimes with the idea of we're just going to have to agree to disagree on this one stance, because otherwise they tend to believe that even when you're agreeable, that there's some reason that you are trying to that you're trying to get to them. So this concludes my explanation of paranoid personality disorder, and we will talk about the other two personality disorders that are in cluster A, which would include schizoid personality disorder and schizotypal.